Hi, everyone. I'm Rob.
I'm Smitty.
I want to welcome you to Chipola's fifth quarter podcast. As you've heard us say before, one of the most exciting things about being a part of the business and technology program here at Chipola College is we were ranked fifth best in the nation. So we pride ourselves in academics, not just our sports here. So if you're thinking about the future, maybe you're a senior in high school and you're thinking, well, I want to stay close to home if you live here in the panhandle of Florida, preferably closer to the Marietta, Panama City area, and you want to attend college, we encourage you to apply at Chipola or at least come check us out on our website at mychipola.edu, Smitty.
Mm-hmm.
I may butcher that website, but at least check us out, if nothing else. See some of the programs that we offer as you're thinking about your future. And if nothing else, check out the Business and Technology Department, Dr. David Bovin. They got a great team over there. He's the dean. I also want to thank the awesome media team here at Chipola College for the work that they do in making this podcast so successful. Smitty, kick us off, my friend. We have much to discuss.
Oh, we got a bunch of dumpsters on fire from everything going on this past weekend. A stunning upset with Georgia being defeated by Alabama, reclaiming their number one spot in the rankings, 41-24 in favor of Alabama, as a slaughterfest in the Big Ten championship. Michigan beating Iowa 42-3. I mean, and it wasn't like that at first in like the first half. It was a defensive battle through and through.
Right.
Both teams couldn't really get much offense, but once the Michigan got started, it was a snowball effect. I mean, utter decimation.
Yeah, and Smitty, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Michigan Wolverines have surprised me sneaking in at that number two spot. And that moves me into the next point. You know, your Final Four rankings. These are the four teams that are going to get a shot at a championship this year. Number one, Alabama. Two, Michigan. Three, Georgia. And four, Cincinnati, man.
Oh, boy.
Smitty, let me just pick your brain a minute. Let me just pick your brain a minute before we go further. Who's your dark horse in this top four spot?
I'm actually going to go with Michigan on this.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think Michigan is the dark horse.
Let me tell you why, though.
Go ahead.
After everything they've been through in the past tenure with Jim Harbaugh, they've been scratching and clawing to try to make progress, beating their rivals, beating their in-state rivals, no less. Despite losing to Michigan State by, I think, 3 points, they finally beat that pesky state down south, beating Ohio State.
You know, the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is probably one of the biggest in the northern area. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not an Ohio State fan. I've made that very clear. I think their program is just a little bit overrated. And this year, you know, Michigan comes away with the bragging rights. But anyway, Smitty, I mean, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, those four teams are getting a shot at a playoff. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the season that Michigan and Cincinnati would be in this topic of conversation, I would have told you that you need to go home and reevaluate your life.
It just goes to show you how college can be so chaotic and unpredictable. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and any team can get beat on any given day. Hence the case, you know, Georgia was 12-0 regular season, and then you know we knew it was coming. We knew we were looking, Smitty. You know, in about week 10, week 11, we knew. I think both of us knew that we were looking at a Georgia-Bama matchup for the SEC. I didn't expect the outcome though to be Bama winning, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Smitty. I say the door is still open. You know, Georgia at that number 3 slot. The stage could be set for a Georgia-Alabama rematch in the championship, and this could go one or two ways, Smitty. The Dogs can reestablish their identity as a team because they are a good team. I don't care what anybody says. No, I'm not a Dogs fan. I would have to consider them probably a second favorite team. You know, in front of Alabama. I do have a deep respect for Alabama. You know, I'm not an Alabama fan, but do have a deep respect for them. And I say this Georgia team could reestablish their identity, and it could be a hard-fought championship game. Now, you know, that's to say that Alabama wins their game against Cincinnati, which it's on paper, I'm sure that is highly likely. But now don't count Cincinnati out. You know, you got a young team, first year in the playoffs. You could be looking at a hungry underdog here.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't really help that I think most of the people who does this on a professional level, and even the Las Vegas odds are saying that they're already a 13.5 point underdog against Alabama. Now, granted, they are undefeated in their conference, and they've beaten Houston significantly, 35-20.
Right.
And, well, Cincinnati, here's your chance. Either hang with the big dogs or bye.
Well,
I mean, and I'm not saying that to be mean or anything. It's just that it's Alabama.
Well,
it's the top dog in college sports in general.
Yeah, but it's also a true case of David versus Goliath, Smitty. I don't think anybody's denying that the obvious assumption, we don't encourage this, but if you're a sports bettor, anything like that, common sense would tell you probably to take Alabama.
Of course.
If you're putting money up. We don't encourage that.
Yeah.
But now, Smitty, I've seen times in the past where, like a Texas A&M team, they're not really much to write home about. And I'm saying that without, the whole Jimbo Fisher bias and everything and how he left Florida State. They're not much to write home about, and I've seen a few times where they've upset an Alabama Crimson Tide team.
Don't forget Purdue. Yeah. I mean, they've ruined two teams with college playoff ambitions. They just killed their ambitions dead in the water.
Right. So it's a true case of David versus Goliath. Smitty, I'm gonna be honest with you though. Number 1 Alabama versus 4 Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl. My money's going to be on the Crimson Tide. I say they're gonna lock that one in. Probably be a hard-fought game, but I say Bama pulls it out. Now, what I really want to talk about with you, Smitty, is number 2 versus number 3, Michigan and Georgia. I mean, this Georgia team is coming off a loss in an SEC championship game. Mm-hmm. Still in the hunt. They're still in the playoff conversation. But now you've got a Michigan Wolverines team that, they're probably the second Big Ten team that I'm aware of that's been in this playoff system since it started, besides Ohio State, of course. Smitty, I was thinking on the way over here, I said, we were potentially looking at a Georgia-Alabama rematch for the championship. I feel like the stage is set right here by these rankings. Mm-hmm. However, Michigan being the dark horse that they are, they could come out of the woodwork, surprise everybody, and potentially beat this Georgia team because they are beatable. You think about this Georgia Bulldogs team last year played the same Cincinnati Bearcats team in a bowl game, and Georgia got out of there by a field goal's lead.
Well, yeah, so, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? Mm-hmm. So we're not, let's not be so sure that the Dogs are just going to come in and run over Michigan. This could be a hard-fought battle to the finish.
I will say this: Georgia is going to be licking their chops for revenge against Alabama.
Oh yeah,
they could, but they have to get through Michigan first, and Michigan's pretty hungry, especially after coming off not only an Ohio State victory, but a conference championship domination in the second half of that game.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen. You can make the same argument with Cincinnati. You're counted out. The odds are against you. You could see the upset of the millennium when it comes to the college football playoff era.
And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, Smitty, anything is possible. I want to segue over into this, and then we'll get back to college football. The Detroit Lions no longer, on a losing streak.
They finally won a game.
Yeah, they beat the Minnesota Vikings. So
it is Minnesota.
Yep.
I mean, they have a way to choke.
Right, true, but. You're talking about a team that represents the state of Michigan. So could that be a telltale sign that you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but could that be a telltale sign that this Michigan Wolverines team is possibly destined to go all the way this year?
Well, never say never.
Right.
And through sheer absurdity, the Lions still have a small glimpse to get into the playoffs.
Right. Yes.
I mean, I can't say the same for the Houston Texans, which their defeat by the Colts, I believe. Yes, where is it? There it is. Yeah, their defeat in the Colts just effectively just eliminated them from a contention entirely.
Yeah, I think Houston kind of knew about 6 games into the season that their playoff hopes were just dwindling down. And, the Dolphins, getting a much-needed win to keep the streak alive, improving to 5 wins, beating the Giants 20-9. Of course, it's the Giants. But, we got a bye week coming up, Smitty, and then we got the Jets at home. So
that bye week is going to be helpful for the Dolphins.
Yeah,
the rest get some of their main players
yeah.
back up. Now, don't count the Jets out just yet. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now. They have played spoiler just like how the Dolphins played spoiler to the Patriots.
Right, that's true. And
So,
Smitty, we discussed the schedule last week. After that Jets team, you've got a New Orleans Saints team away on the road, then you've got Tennessee Titans on the road, and then you're back home for your final game of the season against the Pats. Smitty, I mean, aspirations are high, and let's look at the playoff picture. In the AFC, your division leaders are as follows: the number 1 seed, New England, surprise, surprise, at 8-4; Tennessee at 2 seed, 8-4; Baltimore at the 3rd seed at 8-4. Number 4, Kansas City at 8-4. Now, Baltimore didn't get the 2-point conversion yesterday against the Steelers. Steelers ended up upsetting the Ravens. So that
was a close game.
Yeah, but
I thought for sure the Ravens were gonna make it through with the win, but
I think everybody did.
Well, the Ravens hadn't been really doing well now the past 1 or 2 games.
Oh, I can tell. And with that being said, that loss to the Steelers has rolled out the welcome mat now for New England to have home field advantage in the playoffs, which, that just makes all us anti-New England fans happy. But there's your division leaders in the AFC. You got New England, Tennessee, Baltimore, and KC in that order. Here's who's got the wild card, Smitty. The 5th seed, Buffalo at 7-4. The Chargers at the 6th at 7-5. And the Bengals capping off the last wild card in the AFC with a 7-5 record.
The Bengals have been doing really well so far.
Yes.
They've been improving a lot.
Use that term loosely, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's who's in the hunt in the AFC, Smitty. These 6 teams still have their playoff hopes intact. You've got a 6-6 Denver team. You've got a 6-5-1 Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 7-6 Indianapolis Colts team. The Raiders at 6-6, the Browns at 6-6, and last but not least, yours truly, the Miami Dolphins at 6-7. These 6 teams are still in the hunt. Smitty, a month from now, does any of these teams that's in the hunt in the AFC get in? I mean, before you answer, the division leaders look pretty strong. I say those division leaders are not going to change. The wild card could potentially change in the AFC, between Buffalo, the Chargers, and the Bengals. But I don't think the division leaders of the AFC are going to change any.
I don't see it happening. The Tennessee Titans have been struggling, even especially with their main components of their offense sideline.
Adrian Peterson's gone over to the Seahawks, so that didn't really work out. That was a short-lived free agency signing, to say the least.
Right, and you still have Derrick Henry out in the injury as well.
So they're really, Smitty, going to become more or less a one-dimensional offense there in Tennessee, and the pressure's going to be on Ryan Tannehill and Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and all them guys to get open.
Yep. They're on a two-game losing streak right now.
Yeah.
And the New England Patriots are on a 6-game winning streak.
Imagine that.
I mean, it's Belichick. I mean, can you expect anything less?
Oh, how the turns have tabled. Just kidding. So, Smitty, in the hunt, does any of these 6 teams get a wild card? I mean, if we're being honest, you can be completely honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the Dolphins will quite get there. I don't look for us to beat the Saints. I don't look for us to beat the Pats.
You're sounding pretty pessimistic.
Oh, I like to think I'm more realistic, if I'm being honest with you. Best case scenario, we catch New Orleans at a bad time, the Titans at a bad time, and New England doesn't play well in Florida, to be fair. Mm-hmm. And we go 10-7, and we snag that 7th, seed wild card. But you're talking about Denver still in the hunt, Pittsburgh, the Colts, the Raiders, and the Browns are still in the hunt. That could go either way, Smitty.
Oh yeah. The AFC North overall is kind of in a toss-up. I mean, it keeps changing.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the Saints, you don't count yourself out just yet. The Saints are on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And their percentage is around .41. Mm-hmm. So it ain't sounding really good for them for starters. They're 2-4 at home, 3-3 in away. Mm-hmm. And conference play, they're 4-5.
Right.
So anything can happen, but you can't count your Dolphins out just yet.
Okay, so we'll go with that. And with that, talking about the Saints, let's move into the NFC playoff picture. Your division leaders are the Arizona Cardinals at 10-2, Green Bay Packers at 9-3 with the 2 seed. Tampa Bay Bucks, Smitty, your aspirations didn't come true for the Bucks. They didn't draw the wild card this year, so it'd be fair to say that they're going to go pretty far in this playoff system. And then Dallas with the 4th seed, for your division leaders. Here's who's got the wild card in the NFC. The Rams, the Washington football team, Smitty.
That was my surprise.
Yeah.
They've really come a long way.
Yep. And the 49ers, those are your three wild card teams in the NFC as it stands. Now, Smitty, here is who is in the hunt. There's only 5 teams in the NFC that's in the hunt. Philadelphia Eagles at 6-7, same record as the Dolphins. Minnesota at 5-7, Carolina at 5-7, the Falcons at 5-7, and last but not least, the New Orleans Saints at 5-7, still in the hunt. Smitty, do you see any toss-ups in a wild card? I say the Rams are going to hang on to their wild card spot. Potentially, Washington may end up going down the tube. I mean, their success at times has been somewhat short-lived in the past. I don't know that I see the Washington football team hanging on to that 6th seed wild card.
Well, they managed to impress a lot of people in the previous wild card game.
Yeah.
And Taylor Heineke's been on a hot streak as well.
Yeah.
They are on a 4-game winning streak, so they got the momentum.
Yeah.
And when it counts, especially against Tampa Bay, they managed to capitalize the mistakes, unlike the Colts did when they gave up that big lead like the Atlanta Falcons did in the Super Bowl. And Georgia.
The Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to say that.
It just seems that the Georgia teams, except for the Atlanta Braves, because they won a World Series.
I'll say easy now. The Braves have actually impressed me. I was a baseball fan just last year. Just got into the sport. I'm going to be completely honest. Never played a lick of baseball in my life, but a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, introduced me to the sport, and I needed to pick a team. He introduced me to the Braves. I studied up on their history. So congratulations to the Braves on a very successful 2021 campaign. Very proud of them. But getting back into this playoff picture, Smitty, as far as in the hunt, if I could just offer my 2 cents here, I say if Washington, keeps the momentum, they could seal their spot. The 49ers, however, at 6-6, I say if the Saints get their stuff together, they could slip into that third wild card spot, take it from the 49ers. Could be speaking over my head, which with that, I'll go ahead and eat crow. Smitty, I said that the Bears were going to impress. I have been humbled, sir. They are nowhere to be found in this picture as it stands, and nor do I think that they're going to be the talk of our next 4 podcasts.
Right. But I would say in the hunt-wise, I'd say it's a toss-up between the Eagles and, surprisingly, the Atlanta Falcons.
The Battle of the Birds. Which one chokes first?
I mean,
Philly, man. Smitty, anytime I think of the Philadelphia Eagles, I think about that 2004 team. Terrell Owens, Donovan McNabb. Man, you had some phenomenal guys. And that season, you get to the postseason, it was such a letdown, the way they ended that season.
Just because you have the best players does not mean you're going to make it all the way.
Yeah.
Look at the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. I think I got the year right. Where
2016, 2017.
Yeah, where they got Carson Wentz at the helm.
Yep.
Injury knocked him out of the postseason.
You
got Nick Foles.
Yep, there he goes. The man, the myth, the legend comes in off the bench and really impressed me that game because I thought, man, Brady is fixing to own these guys. But then, that Philadelphia Eagles team was really special that year because they found ways to outmaneuver and outsmart that New England defense.
Mm-hmm. So don't count them out, and don't count your Dolphins out either.
Smitty,
you're supposed to be a fan.
I am a fan, Smitty, and you always want to remain hopeful, yet you want to remain optimistic. We're kind of tired of hanging our hat on the 72 Dolphins. Those types of seasons. But Smitty, let's wrap it up with some college football playoff talk. So we've discussed the first 4. Let's very quickly move through the 5 outsiders, the top 10. If you're a fan of these teams, congratulations. You finished the season ranked, and you're going to go to a pretty decent bowl game. Notre Dame at 5, Ohio State at 6, Baylor number 7, Ole Miss at 8, Oklahoma State at 9, Michigan State at 10. Notre Dame finishing on the outside looking in with an 11-1 record. Ohio State finishing 10-2, Baylor 11-2, Ole Miss at 10-2, Oklahoma State 11-2, Michigan State at 10-2. Smitty, Who probably had the most disappointing season in your opinion as far as being let down expectations wise?
Out of the top 10?
Yeah, let's just go without the top 10.
Well, I would say Oklahoma State was a disappointment because they had all the momentum, they had the drive,
Yeah.
they just could not capitalize.
Right.
And you had it right there.
Yeah.
You had it, and you blew it.
Got you a dollar. Ooh, you almost had it.
You had it all, and you blew it.
Yeah, and then, you know, to me, I'd say Clemson probably had an even more disappointing season. I think there was a lot of expectations for that Clemson team.
Yes.
Brent Venables headed back to Oklahoma to take the head coaching job. Lincoln Riley leaving the Sooners, taking the head coaching job at USC.
Brian Kelly
Leaving Notre Dame, going to LSU. Smitty, we've got a complete coaching carousel.
Don't forget they fired the Miami head coach as well.
Yeah, Manny Diaz, Rhett Lashley, their offensive coordinator, he's gone. And they, I just got word today, Smitty, that they have hired Mario Cristobal from Oregon. And he supposedly got ties to Alabama. He's a South Florida native, but he's got ties to Alabama and a couple other good schools. He was top 3 in recruiting, was able to get some top 3 recruiting classes. So things could be turning around for the Canes, possibly. As a Noles fan, you want to kind of put that in check.
Yeah, but when's the last time an Oregon coach went to a Florida school and did well?
Shout out to Willie Taggart.
I'm just saying.
Moving on. Anyway, I mean, if we're just being honest, the guy may have ties to Alabama and all this other stuff, but, you know, a coach is only as good as his players. Shout out to Nick Saban. You know, they lead the league. They've got to lead the whole NCAA in recruiting, and they're killing us in South Florida with recruiting. We'll see how things shake out for the Canes. You know, there's a complete coaching carousel shakeup. You know, Florida hiring Billy Napier. We covered that last week. We'll see how he does. Smitty, I got word today as far as recruiting. We'll just give a little sneak peek since the season has winded up and pretty much finished for Florida State. Top safety in the nation mentioned us today as his final 4 choices for where he's going to play at the next level. So we'll kind of see how that shakes up. I say Norville's got us going in the right direction as far as Florida State football is concerned. No, we're not going to a bowl game, and I know there was a lot of high expectations. But be patient, Noel Nation. You know, we're definitely, I feel like, headed in the right direction, improving to 5 wins. Maybe next year we'll be bowl eligible. We'll get the right recruits. We got to fix recruiting.
Right, and here's the thing about the whole situation with Florida State as a whole. We've gone accustomed to instant gratification when it comes to games and the performance of the football team as a whole.
Yep.
So my only advice is it takes time. Water it, nurture it, and stuff like that. Give it the proper attention needed, and we got a few more years left in the contract because we're still paying off Wiggly Taggart's contract.
And Jimbo.
Well, that too.
Yep.
However, that being said, it takes time to build a proper program and potentially, wishful thinking, a dynasty. I mean, look what Nick Saban did to Alabama. When it first started out, it didn't start out great.
It was like 1 or 2 seasons, Smitty, and then they done something right there in Tuscaloosa, because the difference between a guy like Saban and other coaches in any conference at any FCS or FBS school is when Saban come in, he said, if y'all want to win, if you want to win national championships, if you want to build a dynasty, he sat down and he told the boosters, this is what you've got to do. Mm-hmm. Whatever that was, I don't know what it was, but apparently it's working. And that's another thing. I give respect where respect is due to the Crimson Tide, because they are a great team with a great dynasty right now. Under Saban, they've got 6 national titles. You know, he's tied the Bear as far as his national title wins at the University of Alabama. They have phenomenal recruits that come in. And if other coaches throughout the NCAA were smart, they would try to take, a number or two, some notes from Saban, because he's got a recipe for success. You look at the national championships. It's not just about that, but you look at the offense that he runs or the defense that he runs. Both of them are similar to what a lot of these players that declare for the draft will see at the next level. So not only does he make sure they get an education, you want to come be a part of a winning program and compete for a starting spot, he also prepares those that are going to the NFL draft, for the next level. So they're not caught off guard and having to study their playbook 365 days a year.
Right.
When they've 6 months out of the year they've already got this stuff down. So a lot of coaches would do well to sit up under Saban. It is going to be a sad day in Alabama when Saban does retire and step down, because I believe that will be the end of the dynasty.
Well, it's hard to gauge that.
Yep.
It depends on how well his successors will stick to the plan and all that he laid out. So,
Well, his plan seems to be working, Smitty, because they are well on their way to another championship. But now we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. There's still a couple more games of football to be played, and anything goes in college football. Smitty, that's all I got. I'm looking forward to next week.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see who makes the cut, and that'll be our last episode before Christmas break. So we'll be kind of eager to get back for the new year to see how things shake out, right?
Oh, it's going to be a fantastic.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to 2022. I think FSU is really going to improve. I say bowl game, and I say more than 6 wins. I'm gonna go ahead and call it now. I say we get at least 7 wins next year. I say we can do 2 better than this year.
I'm gonna go for the gold. I'm gonna go 8-4.
8-4.
8-4.
I'll take that, man. All right, guys. See you.